everyone to Beautiful Basics. Today we'll be working on a few different things. We're going to mix it up a bit, so we're going to go over some different ways to spin, to climb, to sit, some different sort of pointers to make things look beautiful and graceful. If we get time, I'll talk you through how to make a static pole look like it's spinning to sort of create that flow. And yeah, we're just going to have fun and try different sorts of things. Woo! There we go. Alright, we're going to start with neck circles.
People always talk about all the things they're all about.
Other way.
Write it on a piece of paper. Got a feeling I'll see you later.
Good. Little shoulder rolls.
Let's keep it moving. And if it's good, let's just get some.
Little mini squat. Other way.
I'm feeling some connection to the things you do.
Now we're going to make it bigger. Deeper squat.
That makes me feel like this. I don't know who you are, but you must be some
Other way.
superstar. 'Cause you got all eyes on you no matter where you are. You just simply
Good. And arch on your back on the way down. Tuck under, curl up. I think a lot of us have done this.
take a look around. Everybody's getting down.
One more.
Deal with all the problems later.
Good. Take those arms up. And big circles.
Let's keep it moving.
Circle, hands overhead, hips circling. Other way.
I'm feeling some connection to the things you do.
Good. Side to side. Hips going.
Feel like this. I don't know who you are, but you must be some
Roll those wrists out.
'cause you got all eyes on you
Other way.
where you are. You just simply
Good. We're going to step with an arm reach. And twist.
move. Can we get a little closer? You rock it just like you're supposed to.
Good. And side lunge.
Boy, I ain't got nothing more to say. 'Cause you just make
Now we're going to add a forward reach.
I don't know what it is.
To the towards the bent leg.
I don't know. Gotta be a superstar. You just
Good. Push it out. Shoulders. Double. Good. Hands down, feet forward. We're going to bend and straighten. Extra option of a forearm dip. Good. Straighten both legs, wiggle those hips. feeling? Warm enough? Yes. We're not doing anything crazy stretching wise because we're not doing anything terribly flexy, but as long as our body's just a little bit warm for us. Quick mouthful of water, sorry. Alrighty, so before we jump on into it, just a couple of just general notes overall for really trying to make your movements look a little bit more elegant and graceful. Okay, so, sorry, catching my breath as I'm talking. So the first one is poise. Okay, so you really want to try and make sure that you've got really good posture throughout your movements. And you'll hear some dancers refer to like lifting through the head. So you want to imagine like someone's got a bit of string attached to the roof of your, to the top of your head, and they're pulling on that. So you're trying to lengthen your neck, okay? Create a bit of space between your ears and your shoulders, okay? Good posture as well, so making sure that you're not sort of, you know, slouched, rounded back, because when you come to the pole, this does not look as graceful as this, okay? So you really want to try and hold like a good posture and really try and think about lengthening through the neck, and if just a slight almost upward tilt of the chin, okay? So it's not like you fully lifting your head up, but just a slight angle, particularly when you're performing, because sometimes with the lighting, that if you're looking straight even, it can sort of give a slightly more downward look to it. So you want to just look ever so slightly above eye level. Will give you a little bit more of a lifted look, okay? Now, the second one is a really good thing to get in the habit of, and that is trying to get up on your toes as much as possible. So before you start your spins, am I all in frame there? I think so. So even when you're doing spins or anything around the base of the pole, you want to ideally be going from on your toes. Okay, so rather than actually, you know what? Let me ditch the pants. You'll be able to see a lot more then. Okay. All right. So rather than sort of taking off in your spins or whatever it might be, going into a climb from being flat-footed, you want to try and start up on your toes. Not only is that going to make you look longer, okay, it's also going to make your body, like your muscles, start in an engaged position. Okay, so if you're up on your toes, your legs are automatically going to be engaged and working. So it's just a really good habit to get into. So whenever you do any spin or anything, you start up on your toes and you're pushing off from there. Climbs, whatever it might be, going from the ground. Make sense? Yeah? So we're going to try to incorporate that as we go through all of these tricks. All right? Now, let's start with climbs. Now, I've got a few different options depending on what level you're at. I know that we've got probably a broad spectrum of skills here. So if at any point something is too difficult for you, you can either revert back to one of the previous options I've given or give me a yell and I'll come over and see if I can help you. Okay, so the first one is a good one for those that are sort of a bit newer to the beginner world, but you can still utilize it if you have been poling for a little bit longer. So it's a static climb. Now, instead of bringing the leg around like we usually do in our climbs, so you're like having one leg in front and behind in that crossed position, instead we start with the back leg the same. Actually, I'm going to turn this way. We start with the back leg the same, but then as we lift up, this leg is going to come over and up. Oops, I'm spinning a little bit, but that's okay because you get all the different angles. So it's coming up nice and high, so that the thigh presses in either parallel to the floor or slightly higher, and it's going to press in from there. If you want to make it slightly harder, you can add a little horsey kick kind of thing on before as you hop onto the pole. So we start with the back foot on, and as you pull up with your arms, back leg kicks back, and then it comes in and on. Whee, spinning, and down. Okay, so let's have a quick look. Beautiful. And bending it in, beautiful, gorgeous. I'm just going to change my view here for a second. That's better. Okay. Beautiful. And then From there, we start to look at pointing our toes, which the top leg, that's nice and easy. The bottom leg's the hard one, because a lot of us, when we first start climbing, you get very used to having this flexed foot. And when you start, you need that. You need that as you're developing your skills. So for some of you, if you're still sort of early in your game, feel free to continue in doing that. But if you want a challenge, we want to start look at actually pointing this supporting leg. Okay, so you might adjust the position depending on what type of climb you're doing. For this one, I would run it just off vertical. So it's still almost a cross leg, but we're really pointing through that bottom toe. Okay, some people will run it completely parallel to the pole. So you can have a play with it. I prefer to have it on a slight angle. All right, so let's have a look at some pretty pointed toes. That's it, really try and get, that's it, high on the thigh there, Emily, beautiful. Good. Is it Yomag? Sorry, I'm not sure what it says there. So just try to really bring your tummy right into the pole so that your leg comes up really high in the thigh and your tummy is up against the pole. All the way up. And then one leg up nice and high. There you go, and bend that knee, top knee, like this. Yes, yes, like that, yep. Number 4, beautiful, gorgeous. Excellent. A few little horsey kicks I'm seeing too, which is great. And that just adds another dimension to it, and that can be really nice if you're doing like a slow song. So you can sort of take off and sort of really slow kick back and then come on. Okay, so that horsey kick can just make it look a little bit more soft and flowy. Okay, so that's one different way to climb. We'll slowly increase in difficulty as we go. Now, the next thing I want to look at is just tweaking your spinning climbs. So has everyone done your cross-legged spin? And this works on either static or spin pole, either is fine. Anyone not done that? Beautiful. Okay, so here's a little tip with this one. So, and this will sometimes depend on your strength a little bit, but you can still start working towards the end goal. So, when people usually do this spin, this leg traces down low, and then we lift the legs up from there, okay? But one way you can just make it look a little bit more elegant and graceful is with that sweeping leg, bring it up high so that it's at 180, so you've got like, sorry, 90-degree angle at the hip and it's parallel to the floor. It just gives it a really nice, elegant look as you start your spin. Okay, so it just makes it look a little bit more fluid. So trying to sweep it through parallel to the floor, hip at 90 degrees. Now I understand some people's hips may not like that. Okay, so you just try to get it as high as you can. Beautiful. Good. And we want it to stay straight until the last second. So the leg comes around, it's straight, 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 and I'm up on my toe. So I'm up, toe, leg comes around straight. It connects to the pole, then it bends at the last second. Okay, so toe, sweep, up and on. Okay. Beautiful. Excellent, gorgeous. Loving it. Good. For those that are struggling to keep the leg up, so you do want it to be nice and straight with a straight, so with no bend through the knee. To do that, you really need to squeeze through the quad here. Now, I know some people's hips won't like this and will find it quite difficult to lift up. So what I would do then is try to get it as high as you can while keeping the leg straight. So that might mean you're not at 90 degrees, you're here, but it still is in this nice straight position. Yeah, makes sense? Beautiful. All right. Love it. Now, while we're on this note, we're going to keep moving through. Now, grips. Often when you first start doing like those fireman cross-legged spins, you might learn it in this grip, where you've got the bottom arm running the forearm down the pole. Okay, that's a really good way to start doing it because it doesn't require as much strength as a full split grip. As you get stronger, you want to move to that split grip because it's going to create more space between you and the pole and make it look even more elegant, okay? Because whilst this is great, it's still a really good step in the road, you're still a little bit closed off with your shoulders, and notice the difference in how it looks when you come down here and you can then lengthen through the neck. It just makes it look a little bit more lifted and elegant. So once you feel like you've got the strength for it, you want to start to challenge yourself. Instead of having this forearm on the pole, sliding the hand down to belly button height and pushing away from there. It's going to open you up a lot more. Okay? Now for some of you that you might not be ready for that, and that's perfectly okay, keep with the forearm. But what you do want to practice with your successive climbs is swapping hands each time. So a general rule when you're trying to make things look, beautiful and elegant and graceful, you want to minimize the amount of unnecessary regrips that are there. So if you're climbing up the pole and you're changing hands each time, it gets that little bit more of a scrambled look to it. Whereas if you change hands each time, so come up, it's one hand sweeps overhead, up. It becomes, am I still in frame? It becomes a little bit more graceful. So whether you're in your forearm grip or split grip, I want you to now try working on the alternating arms. Beautiful. Excellent. Oh, nice, Tanya. I love that leg sweep. Beautiful. Excellent. Good. And another thing is, and some of you are already doing this, which is great, you want every movement to be purposeful when you're poling. And this is not necessarily, it's not just say when you're competing or performing. It's really good to get in the habit of it even in just your general training. You want to make sure every little thing is purposeful. So when you're, say, swapping the hand over, instead of just reaching straight through, you want to make that movement really like it's meant to be there. It's meant to look a certain way. So even though it's just a hand coming over the top, you want to either take it up and over, or if you're doing like a little bit of a sexy routine, you can sort of feel it up your body, but you want to give it a specific job rather than, oh, I've just got to get it to the pole. Does that make sense? Yeah? And that's just a general rule to keep in mind with all of your pole movements. A lot of people think too much about the trick rather than the journey to get there. And I find when you really start to focus on the journey of getting in and out of tricks, that's when you actually see real gains because you're staying in control and lifted all the time. So your body and your strength actually starts to develop a lot faster than if you just focus on the end trick. Yeah? Cool. Oh my God, trying to do stuff and talk. I'm like, I seem so unfit. Just not good at this talking at the same time. Alrighty. So, one more thing while we are on climbs, and that is to, if you're going to be doing some sort of sequence, is to try to play with ways that you can hide that you're about to do a climb. So a good way to do that is to do spins first. So rather than walking up to the pole and being like, I'm going to climb, we're going to hide it. Now you can do that with so many different types of spins. One really simple example is a front hook. Okay, so you've got your front hook spin. Now, you can do it with or without touching down. So if I touch down with the inside leg first, I can then sweep this leg around and continue up into my cross-legged climb. If you can do it without touching the ground, you can do that also. So we start spinning, outside leg sweeps around, pushing away, switch the legs around and climbing up. Okay, so I want you to find a spin. We're going to start just nice and simple. You can do the one I just did first and just have a play with that. Now, as I said before, when I was talking about minimizing the amount of regrips, the same thing with your feet. You want to minimize the amount of extra steps that are required. Yeah? So if you have to touch down, that's fine. But ideally, we want it to just be 1 foot and not do another couple of steps in between. Yeah? Beautiful. Gorgeous. Yes. Beautiful. That's it. So it's just changing it from being something as simple as going up for a climb to the climb is now a transition within your combination. Yeah? Beautiful. Okay, we are going to come back and later we'll do a few spins that we can then take up into a climb. So we'll come back to that. But for a moment, we're just going to put a pin in that and we're going to go and have a look at some different some elements of sitting. Okay? Now, one thing with sitting is, and this is often, it is a strength thing, so sometimes it's something you need to work at. But ideally, when you go into a sit, you want to do it with straight legs. So when we first learn, and it's perfectly normal, but when you first get into a sit, it tends to be a bit of bent legs, sometimes some flex feet kind of happening, okay? We want to work towards lifting both legs up straight and crossing into our sit from there. Now, if your hips just cannot lift up that high, again, just don't lift them as far, but try and get them as straight as you can. So that might mean bringing them out here, and then you use the action of sitting your bum down to lift your feet into that position, that final pose. Okay, but we want to try to really think about straight legs, engaging through the quads, pointing the toes as you cross your legs into your sit. Okay, so don't always think like you've got to hoist your legs up high, because some people's hip flexors won't do that straight. So you can just bring it down lower and then sink the bum down to bring them up to parallel. Okay. Oh, beautiful, Tanya. Yes. Yes, gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. That's it. Beautiful job, everyone. Excellent. So that's just one little thing to keep in mind. Okay. Now we're just going to do, while we're here, a couple of little different poses. So some little beautiful basic poses that you can do from various sits, and they're just really beautiful, particularly on spin poles. Okay, so, alrighty, so from, we'll see which angle's better, or if I should be better off spinning all the way around. We'll see. Okay, so from our seat, okay, actually I'm just going to go into a full spin so that way you can see all angles. It might be a little bit easier. Okay, I'll talk it through though first so you can hear my voice properly. So from our sit, we're going to take the outside hand high. Inside arm is going to come forward, so into this kind of vomitron position that some of you know. So if you're doing this on spin, you'll probably pick up a bit of speed. So if you don't want to do it with spin, you don't have to. Okay, so I'll show you first. Okay. So outside hand high, inside leg comes through, and then pushes back. Now from here, we have a few different options. You can tuck both legs, grab the ankles, and look towards your far shoulders. So that's kind of like your vomitron position. Otherwise, you can straighten one leg, squeeze the knees together, And you can also straighten both legs and even come forwards over them by letting go of the back arm. Okay, so a few different options there for you to try. We have the sit, the standard vomatron, which is where your legs are pointed backwards. There's probably a nicer name for that. That's the name I know it as. So you tuck your feet behind you, trying to grab the ankles and looking over that shoulder. You can straighten one leg, or you can straighten both legs, and then you can also take that top hand off and pike forward over your straight legs. So I know there's a lot there, but I like to give different options for different people and give you guys some things that you can go back and play with. Beautiful. Gorgeous. Oh, I'm loving it, and there's some beautiful spinning action happening here. Good. Beautiful, everyone. Let's come a bit closer, sorry. Good, swapping of the hands, Cherry. Excellent. Great, Emily, great, Cherry. That's it, yeah, Mag. Beautiful. Very well done, everyone. You going, Alison? There we go. Good. Point those toes. Oh, beautiful, graceful. Excellent. Yep. Beautiful. And Alison, you did it beautifully then. And just like I was saying before with the climbs and making things purposeful, so as Alison did, so when you're reaching that arm through, it's purposeful, it's reaching out and around rather than just sort of getting into position. Yeah, so making every movement purposeful and exaggerated. Okay, all right, now there's another little pretty pose that I want to show you. I don't know the name of this, it's just a pretty pose. And we get into it from a climb. Now I think this way might be the best way to show you. So, climb and then a sit. Okay. Alrighty, so we spring this shoulder in front again. So you can either do it with this hand forward first, or if you wish, you can get it to it without that hand on. Now, bent leg is going to push into the pole. Okay, so I'm on my toe pushing in. This arm is pushing back. I'll try and move myself, there we go, a little bit. Okay, and then this straight leg is going to point straight down. Okay, so arms can reach out in opposite directions. If you wish, you can take one arm overhead. Okay, but this toe is resting into the pole and the other leg is straight. Okay, when you first start, you might want to have a flexed foot just to get used to the position, but we want to aim to eventually be pointing that toe. So the tips of the toe is just sort of resting into the pole. Was that a question, Cherry, or was it, oh no, yep. All good. That's right, so we're coming around. We now sit. We're pushing back with the inside arm. This inside leg is lifting up, foot on the pole, so the other leg can release and point straight down to the floor. Good. Now really try to get your toes up towards knee level. So you're sort of making a number 4 shape with your legs, okay? So don't have it too low. Try and get the toe level with the knee. Okay. That's it. Good, Tanya. That's it, Emily. Good, Emily, with that inside arm, try to bring it up so that it's parallel to the floor rather than down here, okay? You'll get a much wider grip along the back of the arm that way. Yep. So parallel to the floor, or as close to as you can, depending on your shoulder range. Good, Yo Mag. Excellent. Beautiful job, everyone. Oh, we got some fast spinners. Good job, Alison and Cherry. Have I got everyone on screen here? Just making sure I'm not missing someone as I'm, yep. Excellent. Gorgeous. Alrighty. Where's my list? How are we going for time? Excellent. Okay. How are we feeling? Good? Do I have any questions so far? No? I can see your mouth moving, Alison, but I've no... All good? All good. Excellent. Alrighty. So, what we might do now, we might do a couple of spins on spin, and then we might move the poles onto static and do a couple of things there. Okay? So we're just going to go through a couple of different spinning combinations. Oh, shouldn't kneel without knee pads, my knees. Okay, so, all right. So this is just a couple of really beautiful and simple spins that you can do around the bottom of the pole. Okay, now the first one, so this is our 2 spins, so in a 2 spin combo. Okay, so we're going to start in a little, I call it a pike spin. Okay, so we're going to start with our top hand on the pole, up on our toes, yes. Now as we step around the pole, the outside hand is going to come in underneath the top hand. As we do that, the outside leg is coming around to rest, to rest the front of heel, so the heel in front of the pole. Now we want to make sure we keep our hips out. So make sure when we're stepping around the pole, you're not stepping too close. So we're going to step a little bit out so that we keep this sort of piked, semi-piked position. Okay, so when we take off, we go step, hand, foot, other leg joins it. Okay, so we're making like a little mini piked position. From there, we're going to lift one leg up, again into this number 4 shape. Okay, so go step. Oh, hang on. Let me just wipe my hands and my pole. Okay. So, here. And then we lift one leg up and hand out. Head back, sorry, I should say. So head back, knee up. Okay, so you want to see it again? Yep, again. All right, stepping with the inside, hand joints, ankles either side of the pole. Here. From there, pick one leg and it's going to come up and head back. To come out of it, the straight leg touches down and then you can pivot out. Okay. So try to get the pole in the ankles, that's it. Beautiful, beautiful straight legs, squeezing in between the ankles, and then we lift one leg up from there. Gorgeous, Emily. Beautiful. And to come out of it, we're touching down on that straight leg, and then you can pivot out, and you could go into any other spin from there. Okay, so if we're here, we've lifted a leg up, we touch down, you come out, you could just turn around, and you could even go into your spinning climb if you want, or any other spin that you want. Okay, beautiful. We'll move on to the next one. I know that we're sort of flying through things a lot here, but that's because, you know, it's a workshop, it's something you can watch back, so I want to give you guys as much as possible to sort of take away that you can work on. Oh, I just saw someone's mention of audio issues. Who doesn't seem to be here anymore? Oh, someone's poll, oh sorry, some people's polls, everyone's polls are on spin there, aren't they? I just realised the chat was closed before. Tanya, is your pole spinning? It is, yeah, okay. Oh, sorry, when you say staticky, you're talking about the audio. Sorry. Sorry, I was thinking, oh, static poles. I'm sorry. I understand now. Is the audio still a little funny? Okay. I'm not too sure what, maybe that's a Zoom thing. But I'm recording this on another device. So hopefully the recording that goes up on PulseSphere should be a lot clearer. Sometimes the internet in this building can be not the greatest. So it might just be that. I'm really sorry. But the recording afterwards should be better. Okay, so alrighty. So that's one little spin combo. Now we're going to do, we're going to keep moving on. We'll do a few here. Like I said, I know that we're sort of breezing through them quickly, but I'd rather give you guys a lot to kind of go away and work with. And then you can always watch the recording back if there's anything that you've forgotten. Okay, so these are a couple of different spins that are not, I would say, common. Okay, so they're just something a little bit different. All right, so we're going to start with, so you might know the first spin, but there's a lot that you can use it for. So it's a stag spin, basically with the front ankle hooked. So we have our usual bracket arms. We step with the inside leg, outside leg circles, and the back of the ankle connects to the pole. As we push off into the spin, back leg lifts up in a stag position. So some of you might be familiar with that first one. If not, that's okay, you can give it a quick go now. But we're going to be using that to move into other tricks. Okay, just a quick drink of water. Okay. Beautiful. Excellent. All right. So, a lot of the time from this trick, people kind of step straight down. But the great thing about it is, first of all, you've got a leverage point you can pull against, and you've got a space to work with. So you've got this distance between your body and the pole, which means you can actually go through that gap to come in front of the pole. Okay, so the first one we're going to do is we're going to actually end up bringing our hips in front of the pole. So I'll show you first. We start with our stag. Back leg comes forward, and we end up sweeping through into a little, I don't even know the name of half these spins, I just know the positions of them. The names keep getting changed. So, to talk you through that, we're in our stag leg, okay? The back leg is going to come through this space. So from here, we lift this leg up, we bring it through leading with the knee, and we're trying to get our hips from behind the pole to in front of the pole. Okay, so from here, knee leads, push the hips forward until they're in front, like this, so, and then we sweep the leg back behind you. So knee through, sweep back. The ankle that was on the pole then points up to the bottom of that knee. Okay, I'll show you again. So, stag. Through the gap, hips forward, and sweep back. Okay? Before you give that a go, remember how I put a pin in the spinning climbs before? We can link this. Okay, so from this position, you can step down with the bent leg, the straight leg, and then turn to the pole, sweep the other leg, and go up into your cross-legged spin. Okay, so another good way, like creative way of going up into a cross-legged spin. Okay. Look. Good, Tanya. Good, Cherry.
It will be hard for me.
Oh, a little bit hard?
No, I'll do it's because of my wrist injury, so I have to modify my grip.
Ah, okay. I asked for injuries at the start, didn't I?
You did, and yeah, and I know already how to support around the injury.
Okay. So which part of that is trouble for your wrists?
Anything that has to do with the split, not with the split grip, with the cup grip, with the chair spin, anything that has to do with this.
Is it the bottom hand?
Yeah, the bottom hand.
Bottom hand. Okay.
Something. So let's try.
And it gives you trouble there.
So that it's hard for me to transition.
That's
but
okay.
I get the idea.
You get the, that's all right. Well, we don't want to like make it worse. We can give you something else to work on. So you're okay with no. Okay, gotcha. So, and anyone else can try this little option as well. So you're not going to come all the way in front, but it's still a pretty little pose. So if you can't put your bottom hand in that position, we can go into the forearm grip. So we've still got the stag spin. You're not going to have as much space, but that's okay. We bring that leg through still, knee first, and then you can point it over the top of the bottom one before you come down. And then again, you can still keep turning into your fireman spin. Or if you don't want to touch down at all, you can just rotate through and lift the legs up. Is that a good option for you? Is that okay for the wrist? Yep. Beautiful. Excellent. Cool, cool. Thumbs up. Yeah. Beautiful. So, I'll show you something else we can do from that same spin. Okay. And this is a good way to get up the pole as well, if you don't want to do a normal climb or anything like that. So, same stag position. We're going to bring this leg through still, but instead of bringing our hips in front, we're going to come up and hook that leg. Okay, so we start with our stag. Leg comes through in front, and then it hooks. And from there, we can do a few things. You can have a bottom leg straight like that, or you can cross it over the top so it's like in a little lady sit. So we'll start with that, because this is something that's quite versatile. Gorgeous cherry. Good, turn your point those toes. Good. Excellent. Now, was that okay from the forearm position too there? It was? Yep, beautiful. Now, I did say you've got a few options from there, and you do, but I want to show you something that I think is pretty cool. Okay. Alrighty. So, when you bring this leg through, I said you do have a few different options. You can bring the foot in front of the pole. If you wanted, you could go into a side climb on that side, but I'm going to show you how to sneak through to a side climb on the other side. So we're going to come into that lady spin, which is where you initially crunch across that top leg over the top. Now, this can be a little bit tricky, so for some of you, it might be something to work on. You have to create a little bit more space so that this leg can go through this gap. So first of all, we want to make sure that we don't hook this leg too high, because then we're going to have to try to like get that leg up, and that's not going to be fun. Okay, so with it down nice and lowish, we create a space. Okay, so you need to push to get this foot through the gap. Hand up, pull up, and rotate your hips the opposite direction. So you actually end up in sort of a side climb, spinning the opposite way. Now, like I said, that one's a little tricky. So some of you might be happy just to stay with the one of the options previously, because it is quite tricky to get that foot through. Yeah, it requires the ability to really kind of turn out actively through the hip to be able to get that foot through without grabbing it and pulling it. So that's just kind of like, just something for some people to work on, but by all means, don't feel like you have to give that a go. Okay, I know that's just the little challenge for some. And it's probably a little bit hard, like you won't be able to do it from that forearm position. Yeah. Beautiful. Excellent. Again, Cherry. Yeah? Okay. Stack. Bring the leg through, hook it, and come into like a little lady spin. Top foot is going to come through the gap there. Good. Reach that hand up a little bit higher. I'm going to turn my hips the opposite direction as I pull up and squeeze the legs together. Okay, and from there, why don't we take the inside hand off? Oh, pretty. And then we can come down. Okay. Good. Beautiful. Oh, nearly, Cherry, nearly. There we go, there we go. Yes, yes, yes. Pull up, pull up, pull up. Yes. Good. Now take off the inside hand, reach behind you. Or you can invert if you're able to invert. Yeah. There you go. So right there, by inverting, you've got a different, unique way of inverting. Yeah, which is really cool. So I like to think of different ways to do something that everyone kind of does one way. So instead of just walking up and inverting, what's something you can do before it to sort of hide what's happening, what's coming. Yeah, so good work, Cherry. Little Nancy here. Alrighty, so conscious of time, so can everyone switch their poles to static? Is that okay? Because I want to talk you guys through how to make it look like your static pole is spinning. Okay. Beautiful. All right. Okay, so making the static pole look like it's spinning. This can take a little bit of practice, okay, but it's really good at sort of then creating flows around the pole once you kind of master the technique. So we can just sort of practice from the ground. So just standing behind the pole, what I want you to do is reach your hand up high. So we're going to go on our toes, we're going to reach up high like you normally would, okay? Now what I want you to do is take both hands and take them further around the pole. Okay, so if you've got your right hand up, you're going to reach around anti-clockwise. If you've got your left hand up, it'll be clockwise. Okay, so you're reaching further around, grab the pole and then pull. And notice how your body wants to shift with you. Does everyone feel that? Yeah? Give me a thumbs up once you've given that a go if that worked. It did? Yep, cool. You feel that? Excellent. So that is the basis of how we make it happen. So if, for example, you are climbing on a static pole and you might start with a normal cross-legged fireman spin and that kind of starts the spin, but then you're finding you're running out of spin, you're running out of juice. We use those hand positions to keep it going. Okay, so as you're reaching up, you're reaching further around and you're pulling with your hands to keep the spin going. Okay, so you might start fireman up. As I reach my next hand up, I'm reaching it further around and pulling. Okay, so around further and pull. Okay, now initially you might just want to kind of do what I did and just sort of play with that. But once you get going, you can keep, I'm just sort of messing around here a little bit as I go, but using those hands to keep the spin going. Okay, so It doesn't have to be pretty to start with. Like I just mucked around then. That wasn't like, you know, any specific tricks. It was just playing with the idea of using the hand positions to keep your spin moving. Okay, that's it. And this can also be used if, say, you're performing and you're going to do a trick and you realize that you're at the wrong angle. Yeah, you can use that to reach around and pull yourself into a better position. So another way to try it is in a sit, for example. Okay, so we're in our sit. I need to get to a sit on the other side. Okay, so I need to be facing the other way. So I reach my hands around. So for this one, bottom hand reaching further around, top hand's a little bit more awkward. I've got to do the same thing, but it kind of has to tuck this way. Okay, so it's there. Then I pull. I get a bit of a burn between the legs, but I can change direction. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, you do want to make every movement purposeful. And so you would try to do something to create a little bit more elegance with it. So, for example, I might reach out around like this and then sort of tuck into a ball before opening out again, just so it doesn't look like, oh, you're correcting yourself. Yeah, so sort of hand out, reaching around, grabbing on. And sorry, yes, this will burn the legs a little bit. Beautiful. Good, Cherry. So, I mean, I'm not going to go into everything, like every type of position trick you can use this in. It's just a general rule to keep in mind. So if you need to change it where you're facing, you can. Or if you need to sort of keep movement going, you can use that as well. Okay, so it's all about trying to reach your hands around in the direction you want to keep spinning in. Yeah? So if I want to keep spinning this way, I take my hands further around in that position and then pull to try and straighten the wrists up. Okay, excellent. Gorgeous. Now, we are running short on time. I did have a bunch of static flow too, but they could probably even go into a workshop in their own. Maybe. I just have a quick question. Who here can invert and do a leg hang? No, Alison, that's okay, that's okay. Yep. I'm just gonna, if it's okay, I'll just go over one quick tip. You don't have to do this right here and now, and it applies to many different tricks. So it's just something to sort of take the learnings of and you can apply it to different areas. But it's just easiest for me to show you in an inside leg hang. You'll get the idea a lot better, okay? So I tend to find in a lot of tricks, people's bodies kind of tense up. And that's to be expected. I mean, a lot of the time we're doing things up in the air, you might be upside down. The body's natural reaction is to try to hold on as much as possible. And we want that to happen. That's going to keep us safe. But the parts of the body that aren't actively holding onto the pole, we want to try and open out through as much as possible. Okay? So I'm going to use this inside leg hang as an example because I find a lot of people, they're sort of a lot more bent than you need to be in that position, and you can make it look so much more flexible if you know the things to do. So, static. So, like I said, I'm just going to show you in this position first. So a lot of times, people get into their inside leg hang, and they might be like somewhere here. First of all, let's straighten that leg, okay? Then, what this leg has to work. It's gripping hard. But my upper body, it doesn't need to be tense, neither does this back hip. It doesn't have to be sort of holding in. We want to open through them. So we hold the position and we breathe. And on every exhale, you want to think about opening out through the parts of the body that aren't actively holding on. Okay, so you take a big inhale, and as you exhale, you think about opening. Okay, and slowly you'll start to open out through the hips and the chest. Okay, now you may not get this leg as low as I am, but can you see the idea that instead of the leg being up here, you have the ability to take it beyond to make it look really flexible. Of course, I've got some hip flexibility there as well, but I have seen people who don't consider themselves to be flexy have their leg drop a fairly good distance just by sitting in a trick, breathing and opening, okay? It's just about getting the body to realize that it's still safe. The parts of the bodies that are holding on are still doing that, but the rest of the body can start to sort of open, okay? And it just has to start to feel safe in that position for you to do that. Okay, so this is an inside leg hang. It works really with any position where you want to sort of like open up a little bit more. Even in things like upright, if it's a ballerina, obviously you're working against gravity then, so it's a little bit more tricky, but it's the same concept that as you breathe, you'll find that, oh, you can start to lift through the chest and the hips a little bit more. Butterfly is another good example. There's many that this works for. It's just something to keep in mind if you're trying to create a little bit more range in some of your tricks. Yeah, sometimes it's not necessarily flexibility, sometimes it is, but sometimes people's bodies just tend to clench a little bit too much and you need to sort of just work on being a little bit more open through the other parts of the body. Beautiful, Tanya. Good. Good, Alison. There we go. Good. So, yeah, that's, like I said, just a little note to sort of finish on. And I think in any case, it's a really good idea just to practice sitting in your tricks and breathing in them, because that's going to increase your body awareness. You can start to feel in your body, like you can go, okay, I can feel where the grip is, I can feel what has to actively work, and it really creates that body awareness, which will, you know, the more body awareness you have in pole, the easier a lot of things become. So it's also a good idea, even just beyond trying to increase range, just to practice sitting in your tricks and breathing through them. Obviously, when you're upside down, be careful with how long you're upside down for. Okay, don't sit there indefinitely, please. That blood rush could be a real issue. So of course, just listen to your body. All right. And, well, it's 6 o'clock now, so let's do a couple of stretches just to kind of cool down. All right. Let's start with just stretching out our pecs. So forearm against the pole, take a step forward. Keep that rib cage down and try and feel the stretch through the top here. So hips straight, ribs down, so we're not arching the back. Beautiful. Good, slide that hand down, feet together, sweep the other hand over the top, grabbing the pole, and gently lean the hips away so that you feel the stretch along the outer side. Beautiful, and all of that on the other side, forearm to the pole, take a step forward, so we square, sorry, good, ribs down. And then feet together, outside hand on top, leaning the hips away a little bit. Beautiful, stretching those forearms out, so fingers towards you, pulling them towards you. Good, and finger down. We can unmute yourselves too, as whenever you want. I don't think I can do it, I think you guys are gonna do that. Yeah. Good, and the other side. Beautiful, and down. Excellent, hand over head, reaching between your shoulder blades, pull the elbow gently behind your head. And if your elbow is behind your head, think about looking up so that your head just puts a little tiny bit of pressure on the arm. Just deepens the stretch slightly. Good, and swapping arms. Reach between the shoulder blades, gentle pull. Good, and release. All right, give those a little bit of a roll out. Oh. Forwards, good. Interlock your fingers behind, squeeze your shoulder blades together and lift the hands up as high as you can. Beautiful. Release. Grabbing a hold of the pole, feet in close, and now I want you to think about separating your shoulder blades. Okay, so you're punching your back. Good. Place your heel in towards the pole and then slowly start to stand up till you feel that stretch along the back of your calf. And then swapping sides. Good. And release. Okie doke, guys. Sorry, friends, I should say. I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you all for coming along. It was so lovely to see so many beautiful faces.
Bye.
Bye.